Have you ever paused to wonder how some couples in their 60s and 70s seem to share a love that runs deeper, feels softer, and glows with more warmth than many younger relationships ever come close to? You've likely witnessed it, the quiet way they hold hands, the gentle glance shared across a crowded room, the quiet joy of simply being near one another. There's a kind of affection that doesn't need to announce itself, but still speaks louder than words. And then there are others, men, who genuinely try. They give thoughtfully, make the effort, follow every piece of advice they can find, yet still feel distant from the woman they love. The emotional space between them can feel vast, like a silent barrier they can't seem to cross. Why is it that some men, even as they grow older with grace, evolve into stronger companions of the heart, while others feel stuck, wondering why true closeness keeps slipping through their fingers? Today, you'll hear from a remarkable 76-year-old woman whose voice carries a lifetime of real-world wisdom. Her insights aren't found in textbooks. They were shaped by loving fully, losing deeply, and learning what lasts. Her experiences have helped many men and women rediscover what real connection looks like, not through dramatic declarations or perfect lines, but through honesty, presence, and emotional strength. She believes real closeness isn't created in bursts of passion. Alone, it's woven in the quiet, often unnoticed moments. And there's one story she shares, a personal memory about something simple her late husband once did. It wasn't grand, it wasn't polished, but it brought her nearer to him than any planned getaway or romantic performance ever could. You'll hear that story in a bit, and when you do, it might just shift how you see love from this point on. So stay with me. Don't just listen with your ears, listen with your heart. Because sometimes the softest words, the slowest moments, and the calmest presence hold the most powerful kind of love. Melanie is 76. Though her pace has slowed with time, her presence still carries a spark, something only a life fully lived can give. Her kind of wisdom isn't flashy. It's quiet, real, and deeply human. When she speaks of love, there's no fantasy, no fluff, just a steady warmth that draws you in. Once a younger man confided in her. He told her he was doing everything he could to make his wife happy, but nothing seemed to bring them closer. Melanie smiled gently and said, "She doesn't need you to perform for her. She needs to feel that you're truly with her." When he looked puzzled, she added, "It means giving her the kind of trust where she can relax, where she doesn't have to keep her defenses up." That sentence stayed with him, and it stays with us too. Because real love isn't about trying to prove anything. It's about creating a space where she can simply exhale, let her guard down, and feel safe being exactly who she is. For many women, emotional connection doesn't start with a gesture. It begins much earlier. It starts when she feels genuinely seen, deeply heard, and fully accepted. That kind of presence isn't dramatic, but it's powerful. And when she senses it, something inside her begins to unfold, naturally and beautifully. Melanie often said that the biggest mistake a man can make is thinking he already knows what a woman wants. She chuckled softly when a younger man once boasted, "I know what women like." Her reply was gentle but firm. "No, dear, you knew what one woman liked." That difference, she explained, changes everything. Every woman is a world of her own, shaped by time, experience, emotion, and age. What moved her deeply at 40 may feel different at 65. A word that once lit her up may now pass by, unnoticed. Women are not puzzles to be solved once. They are stories that evolve. Melanie's own husband, late in their years together, discovered something small that changed everything. Each night, he rested his hand gently on her belly, not out of habit, but as a way to say, "I see you still." It wasn't about desire. It was about being fully present. That single gesture, she said, meant more than any grand romance. Fiat told her she was still being noticed, still cherished, so don't assume, don't repeat, ask, watch, listen. Be willing to learn her again as if for the first time. The effort may be quiet, but the impact, she promises, is immeasurable. Melanie often reflected that the quiet undoing of many relationships wasn't betrayal or anger. It was impatience. In her words, love doesn't shout. It listens, it doesn't rush, it waits. She saw how many men, especially after 50, felt an invisible pressure to perform, to prove themselves, to fix things quickly. And she saw how many women carrying the quiet changes of age, heartbreak, or hormonal shifts didn't need someone to fix them. They needed someone to simply stay. Patience, she believed, was not a passive thing. It was active love. It meant waiting an extra moment while she gathered her thoughts. It meant holding her hand through silence without needing to fill it. It meant honoring her not tonight with tenderness instead of disappointment. Melanie said that trust doesn't grow from grand gestures. It grows in stillness, in the spaces where nothing is being demanded. When a woman feels emotionally safe, something inside her relaxes. Her presence, her words, even her energy moves differently. It's in that space, quiet, gentle, unhurried, that true connection is born. So when in doubt, don't fill the silence. Don't rush the moment. Just be there. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer her isn't a solution. It's your still, steady presence. Melanie believed something that too many men forget as they age, that with each passing year, your value doesn't fade, it deepens. She often saw men in their 60s trying to recapture their youth with flashy clothes, expensive gadgets, or exaggerated confidence, believing that's what women wanted. But she would smile gently and say, "That's not what we're drawn to, not anymore." What truly reached a woman's heart, especially after 50, wasn't performance, it was presence. A calm man with kind eyes who could listen without interrupting, who carried himself with quiet strength, that to her was deeply attractive. Melanie often reminded older men that they carried something younger men didn't: wisdom earned through hardship, grace from past mistakes, and the quiet power of someone who has lived through life's highs and lows. She once told a grieving widower, "A woman doesn't need fireworks. She needs to know that when the storms come, you'll still be there, steady and sure." That kind of man doesn't chase approval, he offers peace. So if you've ever wondered whether age has dimmed your appeal, know this: your steadiness, your thoughtfulness, your lived experience, those are qualities that only grow more magnetic with time. You haven't lost value. You've become rare. Melanie believed that real connection was rarely found in grand displays. It lived in the small, quiet moments most people overlook. She often said, "True closeness isn't built on big declarations. It's shaped in the ordinary, often unnoticed moments. Folding laundry side by side, washing dishes together, or exchanging a quiet glance across the room. Those were the spaces where love took root." One night, during a thunderstorm, her husband reached out without words, just softly saying, "I'm glad I'm next to you." That simple sentence, spoken in stillness, moved her to tears. There was no performance, no plan, just a sense of presence. It told her she mattered. And in that moment, she felt deeply seen. Melanie often reminded others that real connection isn't a destination, it's a rhythm. It's in the way you remember her favorite song lyric, the way you pause and stay by her side, even in silence, the way you move through daily life with care. Love isn't waiting at the top of some emotional peak. It's walking with her, steadily, patiently, through the beautiful ordinary. She never believed you needed 100 techniques to create meaningful love. In fact, she often said the most powerful things were simple, sincere, and rooted in care. "Drink more water," she'd say with a smile. "It clears the mind, lifts the body, and brightens your energy." She believed true readiness for closeness began with how you cared for yourself, long before you reached out to another. When it came to deepening intimacy, she encouraged small, mindful practices. A blindfold, not for intensity, but to help slow everything down and tune in. Without visual distraction, even the simplest presence becomes more intentional. She spoke fondly of quiet moments spent resting side by side, not for novelty, but for the shared peace it offered. She mentioned oils too, not as a performance, a tool, but as a way to offer care, soft, scented, slow. But beyond all these things, Melanie always returned to one truth: the reason behind your attention matters more than the action itself. "Don't give to get," she said. "Give because you care." Your hands, the ones that prepare meals, carry burdens, and comfort others, when guided by kindness and intention, can offer something sacred. Melanie believed that after 50, A woman's heart longs for something deeper than admiration. It longs to be truly understood. She often said, "At this stage in life, we're not looking to be dazzled. We want to be seen." Women who have spent decades as caregivers, professionals, mothers, and nurturers carry both quiet strength and quiet sorrow. Their bodies may be weary. Their hearts may hold memories of being overlooked, rushed, or misunderstood. What they yearn for most is presence, the kind that listens without interrupting, engages without expectation, and sees them beneath the surface. Melanie's husband once looked at her in the soft light of evening and said, "You're more beautiful now because I've seen your soul through the seasons." That simple sentence meant more than years of compliments or gifts. It told her he had witnessed her fully and still chose her fully. She reminded men that their attentiveness, their ability to stay emotionally engaged, was one of their most compelling qualities. You don't need to be younger, faster, or flashier. You need to be real, steady, and emotionally awake. If you've ever wondered whether you still matter, Melanie would smile and say, "More than ever. Now is when she truly sees you." Melanie never shied away from the honest conversations. She understood that connection, especially as we age, isn't always smooth or simple. There are aches that didn't used to be there, moments that don't unfold as planned, and changes in the body that sometimes feel like they create distance. But to her, these weren't barriers, they were invitations. If something hurts, shift the moment. Add comfort, move with ease. It's not about pushing through, it's about honoring each other with care and patience. If a moment ends sooner than expected, she'd say, "Smile, laugh together." Then, try again with curiosity, not pressure. She believed that when a man lets go of the need to prove himself and chooses instead to simply show up with emotional awareness, a deeper bond begins to form. And when hormonal shifts bring waves of emotion, she saw those moments not as burdens but as open doors. Opportunities to slow down, listen more, and offer kindness instead of solutions. Her favorite line, repeated often, was simple and true. The struggle isn't the end. It's the beginning of a new kind of togetherness. Every challenge, when met with tenderness, becomes an opening to something richer, and that, she believed, was the essence of real connection. When Melanie was asked what brought her closest to her husband, not during the early days of romance, but in the quiet years that followed, she didn't hesitate. Her eyes softened as she said, "He used to read to me, every week, out loud. Not because I needed it, not because I asked, but because he wanted to share something that moved him. There was no performance in it, just his voice, steady and warm, filling the space with poetry, articles, or pieces of books he thought she'd enjoy, and each time something settled in her heart, she felt chosen, not for how she looked, not for what she gave, but simply for being the one he wanted to share his world with. That, to Melanie, was love in its purest form. She often reminded others that connection doesn't have to be loud or extravagant. It needs to be sincere, it needs to be consistent. You don't have to do everything, you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep showing up, with your full attention in the quietest of moments. That's the kind of love that endures. If you're still here, I want to thank you, not just for watching, but for opening your heart to something deeper. Melanie's wisdom wasn't only about relationships, it was about how to live with more care, more presence, and more grace. So I'll ask you now, what spoke to you most? Was it the reminder that love is quiet and steady? Or that the smallest gestures are often the most powerful? If this message stirred something in you, drop a 1 in the comments. And if what you long for now is emotional safety, the kind that nurtures lasting connection, comment safe. Because this journey doesn't end here. There's more to explore. And this space is here for that. For the man who wants to love with wisdom, lead with heart, and connect with the kind of depth that stands the test of time. Keep coming back. More stories, more insights, more honest. Truths are on the way, because love doesn't grow old, it grows wiser, and so do you. If you believe men deserve to understand the quiet power of connection, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe. You're not starting over, you're starting deeper.